Like my uncle, Chainsaw Man came. I had to run that intro back one more time. Honestly, I was debating not doing this video at all just because I knew literally every other anituber on the platform was going to talk about it. But oh well, here I am. With the anime soon to release this year, it was perfect timing that Chainsaw Man came back with its part 2 a little bit before the anime. That way it's able to ride off of that momentum. And my goodness, reading this first chapter was classic Fujimoto, always introducing us with weird stuff right off the bat, as this time Chainsaw Man is taking place in more of a school setting. And interestingly enough, throughout this entire chapter, we don't see Denji once. We only see Chainsaw Man mentioned by name, as he seems to be quite the popular personality. They even have Chainsaw Man buns and merchandise. The chapter starts off with the teacher introducing himself to a chicken devil called Bucky, and essentially their project is in 3 months they have to kill and eat Bucky, that way they understand how precious life is. And you see the classroom interact with this little chicken devil until we're introduced to what seems to be our protagonist for this part, Mitaka, a dark-haired and very introverted personality. Now, I'm guessing most likely this is going to serve as the antagonist of the story, most likely. There have been other stories that tend to introduce their antagonistic force first, which I always find very intriguing and very fun when they do it that way. However, it could also be that she's simply the protagonist of our story, and Denji will serve as the antagonist. I haven't bothered keeping up with any sort of interviews, so I could be completely wrong on that. Either ways, it's going to be very interesting to see what perspective Fujimoto chooses to focus on, unless he does a fair share of balancing between the two. Either ways, I think Fujimoto does a great job of introducing Mitaka as a character, having other students mention the fact that her parents were killed by a devil, and her desire and her hatred towards the city's corruption, and the hatred for Chainsaw Man as well. Her introverted personality is truly made very apparent. However, to say she's just introverted is a little bit surface level. She clearly has a bit of a detest or a fear of being around other people, but that is simply due to her jealousy of them and their ability to socialize and have friends. And this is made apparent after the class decides not to kill Bucky, and the teacher congratulates them for having the value of life. They then go out to play soccer, and she's invited to go play with them, and as she goes, holding Bucky, she then trips and falls on the chicken, killing it. Now, if it was me, I would be like, oh, snap, dope, I guess lunch, anybody know how to grill or fry? But no, this isn't just a chicken. This is the class pet, the mascot. Just imagine instead of it being a chicken, y'all had like a puppy for your class pet and someone tripped and landed on it, killing it. It'd be a pretty disturbing thing to see. So I just kind of had to reimagine it that way to kind of fit the context better in my brain. We then see Mitaka kind of pick herself up off the ground, and we see Bucky's intestines splattered on the outside. In the next 2 or 3 pages, we just get the woeful and emotional reaction of everybody regarding this, and without any sort of dialogue at all. And I love moments like that where you're just interpreting and just focusing on the facial expressions. And then she throws up and passes out. Now, the throwing up did take me back to a specific scene in Chainsaw Man, and there's actually a good amount more parallels in this chapter, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. But she expresses that she felt like if the classroom had to vote to push someone off a roof, it would be her. And then even more importantly, in my opinion, she says that she would vote for herself as well. I think there's a lot of self-pity, a lot of self-regret, and just a lot of inner dislike in terms of Mitaka. That feeling of being outcasted, I think, was made very apparent throughout this entire chapter, as then she opens the door and sees the face of her classmates, and then we jump back to her in her own room, and she expresses that she wants to die. And again, her curling up in the bed sheets like that reminded me a lot of Denji in his first chapter holding on to Pochita. The teacher then rings her bell and is there with the class president, and the teacher is doing his best in order to make sure Mitaka is doing well. Now, what was really brilliant about this chapter, and what I really liked, was there's so much of what happened earlier that seems very inconsequential, but when you go back and read it, it's the subtle little things that lead up to this twist moment, where the class president expresses her hatred for Mitaka, saying that it was the teacher who told her to befriend her. It was the teacher who apologized to the class on her behalf, and that the teacher liked her despite the fact that he was sleeping with the class president. You know, I had wondered, you know, what will Fujimoto do today? You know, it's just, you know, cause it can't be a Fujimoto story unless there's a what the actual Christ. But I'm a Berserk fan, so this is nothing. But it's clear that there was a lot of inner hatred, as she even made a contract with the devil, trying to reach happiness with the teacher, Mr. Tanaka, and all she needs to do to achieve her happiness is kill Mitaka. So she actually claws Mitaka across the face after saying, or admitting that she had tripped her, and that's the reason she fell on Bucky. Something you don't realize until you go back and look at that page and see the positioning of the class president next to Mitaka. But it's in those final moments of death where we get to see Mitaka's inner dialogue. And it's those moments of inner dialogue that really show who the character is and how they feel in the moment of conflict. Saying, oh, I wasn't responsible for Bucky's death at all. Ah, the class president was jealous of me too. It must be like that for everyone. Everyone's jealous of somebody. If I'd known I could have had a better life, maybe I could have had friends or even a boyfriend. And the final words, I wish I'd tried living a little more selfishly. Then we see this mysterious creature saying that if you want to live, your body will be mine. And then she takes the teacher's spine as a sword. What? That's one of the amazing things about Fujimoto and a few other mangakas. They can take what is the typical and then just add the weirdest thing into it, and that's what really creates the uniqueness of their character designs and their concepts. And then Mitaka reveals that her name is the War Devil. So then she goes to town killing the class president by using like this intestinal hand grenade, and then slicing her in half with the teacher spine sword, and then she walks away from this explosion, a lot like the one-shot Fujimoto recently read called Goodbye Eri, if I'm not mistaken. And then we see her look at a poster of Chainsaw Man saying, just you wait, Chainsaw Man, I'll make you vomit nuclear weapons back up. Now, I think we all know at this point that Fujimoto does an amazing job of grabbing your attention in a very short amount of time, and I think all of the different parallels that Fujimoto had to previous works like Goodbye Eri and Chainsaw Man Part 1 was absolutely incredible. And in terms of the design of Mitaka once she is the War Devil, it reminds me a lot of the protagonist of Golden Kamui, Saichi, where like the scars on his face, they had like a ton of gender bent art versions of him. I was like, yo, if someone ever does a character looking like that, it's gonna be a problem. And of course it's Fujimoto. Listen, I just have one favor. Look, the chapter's fire, it's a banger, we know this. But if I catch one of you so much as barking, I swear I would. But let me know your thoughts on the story, the overall concept of this first chapter, where you think the story is going to go, how you think Denji's character is going to play into all of this and the dynamic between these two. And by God, I just looked on my timeline and there's already fan art. Y'all is something else, bro. As always, this has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.